Thank you very much. It's very difficult for me right now to stay to my prepared notes because I'm so excited by what I've heard. We have, up to this point, been working in a very analytic mode, I think, looking very carefully at specifics. And now we're at a synthetic moment, and I especially thank our chairman for paraphrasing after each presentation. But in fact, Signor Corti, I wasn't not understanding. I was very much understanding what you were saying and very enthusiastic about what you were saying. So let me make a couple comments first, and then I'll go to my prepared notes. It is quite true that that we do tend to travel at the ends of the season. Some of that may have to do with climate, it may have to do with availability and busyness, and the observation that we are interested in culture strikes very much to the heart. We will find, the studies aren't there yet, but speaking personally, very much to the heart of why we travel. Because as persons with disabilities, we tend to be excluded from society in every possible way, simply through mobility in some cases. But the cumulative effect of that lack of mobility or the outright discrimination in some cases is a strong desire to insert yourself into another cultural context or physical context in which you can experiment with a new identity. It is very true, and it's documented around the world in the studies, that we bring more people with us, that we spend more money, that we take longer. But you know what? If I were to say that, and I were to quote the studies, it's one thing. But to see it circulating up from the tourism ministry, to circulate up from the travel industry, studying, I don't know if that was Peter Naumann's study that you had in Germany. But again, it's very encouraging for me to see this circulating, to see this circulating up. So what I would like to do, and afterwards I can give very specific examples of studies where you can find training materials developed in India and South Africa and the United States, things that you can take off the shelf and use and modify. I'll point out some researchers here who are working on a questionnaire dealing with some of the communications issues that you're talking about. Oh, I'm sorry. And again, your point about using the internet, very true that we use the internet much more than others. And in fact, we travel by word-of-mouth recommendation more than any other demographic. You can cut the group of travelers into any particular subgroup. You will always find that those with disabilities rely more on others who've physically been there before or have a disability. So word-of-mouth, loyalty, all important. What I'd like to do is transition into a segment where I'm talking about governmental policies. And I'm going back again to the very broad and international level, which I hope you'll find valuable as a bit of context. But just wanted to begin by telling you how exciting it is to hear this information being analyzed and synthesized here. I believe there's two very productive ways to enter into the topic of governmental policies that facilitate travel by people who experience disabilities. One way is to look at the most comprehensive policies, and the other way is to look at the policies that are considered best, most highly regarded, or in quotes, best practices. So we'll do both, and then maybe take a glance sideways to look at the impact and some specific examples around the globe. But let me first suggest that the very best resource that I've found on this subject in the English language is a book by the travel writer Candy Harrington. Her book is called Barrier-Free Travel, a Nuts and Bolts Guide for Wheelers, those who use wheelchairs, and slow walkers. It focuses in depth on U.S. policy and comparisons, and I will actually quote from the 4th edition, which is